From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Karen Rebo. Ukrainian officials say Russia fired 650 drones and 36 missiles at Ukraine in a large-scale attack overnight that stretched into daylight hours, killing at least 3 people, including a 4-year-old child. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said the barrage struck scores of homes and the power grid in 13 regions of Ukraine, causing widespread outages in bitter temperatures. Next year's review of the Cda U-S Mexico Agreement on Trade could put a key tariff exemption for Canada in jeopardy. Currently, most Canadian exports enter the U.S. tariff-free, despite steep tariffs imposed by the U.S. on certain products this year. That's because of an exemption for goods compliant with the Continental Free Trade Pact. Trade lawyer William Pellerin of Macmillan LLP says the end of that CUSMA exemption would ratchet up the duties Canadian firms pay at the border.
It absolutely could be at risk. I think that would also be, one of those kind of nuclear options that would do a lot of harm to the trading relationship and to businesses on both sides of the border.
Experts say the U.S. will likely push for greater regional content in automobiles. For Canada, energy and critical minerals will be a key bargaining chips. Alberta's election agency has approved a proposed referendum question on the province separating from Canada. The question seeks a yes or no answer to, do you agree that the province of Alberta should cease to be a part of Canada to become an independent state? The head of the citizens group behind the push for a referendum is confident that through hundreds of town halls over 4 months, he will collect the nearly 178,000 signatures needed to get the vote. A deep freeze gripping much of Western Canada has one northern territory urging its residents to limit their power use. Cold warnings are in effect for the northernmost parts of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta, as well as the Yukon and the Northwest Territories. In fact, the chill is so severe in Yukon that Energy Minister Ted Laking is telling residents to conserve electricity because the grid is under such significant strain. And it's a time of lottery fever for lotto players on both sides of the border. That's the sound a whole lot of Canadians want to hear following tonight's draw for the Lotto Max Lottery jackpot. The pot remains at its maximum $80 million prize for the 4th time in a row. And after nearly 2 months of twice-weekly draws with no jackpot winner matching all 7 numbers. Tonight's prize pool will also feature an estimated 43 Max Millions draws. Meantime, America's Powerball lottery jackpot has jumped to an eye-popping $1.7 billion for Wednesday night. It'll be the 4th largest in U.S. lottery history. Last night's 46th draw since early September passed without a big winner. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, there are 13 games on today's NHL schedule with 5 Canadian teams in action. They'll include the Toronto Maple Leafs, who fired assistant coach Marc Savard yesterday. They'll try to end a 3-game skid when they host the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Buffalo Sabres will visit the Ottawa Senators, and the Edmonton Oilers will host the Calgary Flames as the Montreal Canadiens visit the Boston Bruins. Canada plays its final exhibition game tonight before opening the 2026 World Junior Hockey Championship on Friday. Canada, which split a pair of pre-tournament games with Sweden, faces Denmark in a tune-up tonight at the Mayo Clinic Event Center in Mankato, Minnesota. There are 14 games on tonight's NBA schedule, including one in Miami where the Heat will host the Toronto Raptors. And in football, the Buffalo Bills, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the LA Chargers have all qualified for the AFC playoffs, with the Indianapolis Colts' loss last night to the San Francisco 49ers. From the Canadian Press, I'm Karen Rebo.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.